Gary Gensler says the crackdown on crypto is just starting. And in the case with the SEC versus Ripple Labs, both sides have something they don't want the public to see. Happy freezing Friday, everyone. That's right. The Arctic chill is even hitting me in South Carolina. 16,875 the price of Bitcoin. ETH sitting at 1224. XRP highlight of the show above that 35-cent mark. 35.1 up 139 last 24 hours. SEC increasing scrutiny of crypto proof of reserves. Basically what Gary Gensler is saying, hey, look, proof of reserves don't mean a damn thing. And let me explain it to you, okay? Proof of reserves are essentially what you have in your account in terms of customers' crypto or crypto in general. Now, I want you to think of this. Imagine you're a company and you make $10,000 a month in revenue, but your expenses are $15,000. That means every day you're burning $5,000. None of that has to do with proof of reserves. Now, on the flip side, okay, what if you're a business that makes $10,000 in revenue and you only have $1,000 of expenses? That means you make $9,000 of profit a day. Again, that has nothing to do with proof of reserves. Proof of reserves just say, hey, this is what's in the account. They're not telling you how fast they're drawing out of it or adding to it. That's a very big distinction we have to start making with proof of reserves versus full financial audits of these companies. So that's one of the things that Gary said, hey, look, we need to pay closer attention to. But Gary, he's getting started, everyone. The U.S. SEC Chairman Gary Gensler says cryptocurrency crackdown is just getting started. I already talked about the proof of reserves thing, but the other thing he's talking about is this. FTX's FTT exchange token is a security, says the SEC in its complaint against Alameda Research's Caroline Ellison and FTX's Gary Huang. That's right, everyone. Native tokens are considered securities. That's what Gary said. So Gary is now going after crypto even harder. Now, don't worry. In the case versus the SEC versus Ripple Labs, both sides got something to hold over each other. So we'll get to that here soon. But first, this thing with native assets, it's important because we have to look at how many other companies have tokens that function like this. Binance has BNB. Tron has TRX, okay? Think of all the other ones out there. Celsius had CEL, FTX had FTT, Ripple Labs has XRP, Stellar Development has XLM. And I know each one functions just a little bit differently, but right now the SEC's reach has been very broad, very generalized. And remember, LBY, the token from LBRY, that was also considered an unregistered security. So we have to be very careful. Now, I get it. 4 prongs of the Howey test, you're right. Here's the thing, though. 4 prongs doesn't matter when Gary Gensler and the SEC is doing whatever they want using outdated laws to new technology. So yes, 4 prongs I understand, but is the government reeling him in? And it's not just the government, but it's the courts too. Think about it. The court case recently with LBRY declared that yes, it was an unregistered security and they had to pay fines of somewhere around like $22 million. So even the courts are withholding what Gary Gensler and the SEC are preaching. Is Congress out there saying, yo, Gary, you need to stop this. You're kind of overreaching the law. No, that's why the court case is so important. Now, speaking of the court case, this is something that I have to share with everyone. Okay. Ripple seeks to protect its confidential business information in an ongoing lawsuit against the SEC. There are some things that Ripple Labs does not want to get out, business agreements and so forth. I mean, think about it. This court thing is insane, all right? And to show you how insane it is, I'm going to share something with you. The summary judgment materials, all right, have over 770 exhibits attached to them. Furthermore, the SEC also submitted over 2,000 factual statements. Altogether, the summary judgment materials consist over 1,100 documents and 40,000 pages. Okay, so getting back to it, okay? So Ripple has stuff. They're like, yo, we don't want people to see, because there's confidential business agreements, because some of it is like how ODL was used, how XRP was used, all that kind of stuff, okay? And they don't want that stuff to be made public. So does the SEC with the Hinman documents. So you may see a little bit of leveraging play going on here where the SEC is like, well, we want this, the redactions removed. Where Ripple Labs go, well, wait a minute, we want those Hinman doc redactions to be removed too. So you're going to see an impasse between those two, and that's where Judge Torres is going to have a big decision when they go through, because they have to go through the objections of redactions. Once they go through that, right, it's going to be interesting to see what the judge rules is going to be allowed and not allowed. But getting to the first story when it comes to, hey, Gary Gensler is cracking down on crypto, it all has to do with the declaration of these native tokens of these chains being declared securities. And that proof of reserves, all they are is just a number in a bank, right? I mean, that's all it is. It has nothing to do with their expenses, their cash reserves, cash burn rate, income flow rate, OPEX reports, nothing like that. So proof of reserves means absolutely nothing. Now, on top of that, Mazars, who's the company who is doing Binance's proof of reserves, pulled out of crypto altogether. They left Binance and they said, yo, we're not touching crypto. Because they said proof of reserves here don't mean anything. They couldn't put their seal of approval on it because it doesn't mean anything. Honestly, you put $1,000 in a bank account. That doesn't tell me if that $1,000 is going to last you a day, week, month, or a year, does it? It doesn't. It just tells you a number. You need more context besides that number to see what the importance and what the value is. And I know what a bunch of you are saying out there, but Klaus, the 4 prongs of the Howey test. And yeah, I know you're probably going to comment down below about that. And I get it, but let me ask you a question. How did those 4 prongs apply to LBRY? Interesting, doesn't it? That's my point. Unless the SEC gets reined in by Congress, right, or, even the executive branch, you're going to have problems like this continue. That's why these court cases are so big, because the courts are here to decide, well, wait a minute. Securities laws of 1933, 1934, do they apply to cryptos? Wait, what about a security versus utility? Wait a minute, we don't really have that utility designation really etched in stone yet, so how do we apply that if we don't have the law yet? And that's where all this mess starts. We haven't really determined what's a security versus a commodity versus a utility. My personal stance is I believe the laws need to be updated to include newer technology that honestly covers so many different things. Think of the internet. The internet was one of the perfect things out there. There were no laws when the internet first came out that were really applicable because there were so many court cases that were thrown out going, dude, this doesn't make any sense. The internet's decentralized. Who owns it? Who do we go after? Who do we penalize? Blah, blah, blah. None of that stuff held in the beginning. That's why they started making all those internet laws in the early 2000s so that they could apply it to the new tech. I honestly think the same thing has to happen with crypto. And that's what I'm looking forward to in 2023. Not freezing my butt off like I am right now with this Arctic bomb happening. Well, as more news breaks, I'll be sure to share it with you. Until then, more crypto Web3 edumacation right here. You cool cats, stay warm. And as more news breaks, I'll be sure to share it with you. Have a great rest of your day.